Welcome to The Preferred List, a podcast about the people behind the best wedding days. I'm James, a wedding filmmaker. I've spent years in the industry working alongside incredible vendors, and this show is all about real conversations with the ones who make it happen. Whether you're a vendor or a couple, you'll get honest insight, good stories, and maybe a little inspiration along the way. Let's meet today's wedding vendor. Hey Eric, how's it going?
Hey James, how you doing?
Good. I'm so glad to have you on. Eric is going to be a wealth of knowledge, I'm sure, and he's got so much going on underneath his business, Nittany Entertainment, and I'm so excited to dive in. But before we do, we are here at Harmony Forge Inn. Harmony Forge Inn is nestled into the rolling hills of Bellefonte. It's just 15 minutes away from Penn State, and it features a historic house built in 1795, a newly remodeled creekside lodge, and a rustic barn with some modern touches. And the people here, there's great people here. The space, like you said, when you're rolling in, it's under new ownership, and they've just really taken the space and elevated it. And from what I've heard from them, they are always having new projects and elevating the space around here, which is super exciting for the kind of state college area.
It's a beautiful space.
Yeah. And so, Eric, you own a business called Nittany Entertainment. From what I knew, it was mostly just DJ stuff, but you're telling me that there's a ton more that goes into what your business offers. But I'd love to know if you could just take me back to where all of this started as a DJ, starting your business, even branching out to you have multiple DJs that work under your company, but just give me a little insight on where everything started.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bore your listeners, but yeah, that could go on for a whole podcast in itself about the history of Nittany Entertainment. But anyway, I started DJing in high school. When I was 15, my dad actually drove me to my first event because I was only 15.
That's awesome.
I did it was middle school Halloween dance, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just threw those volume levels up the whole way, and at the end of the night, the kids were like, "Man, my ears hurt." So definitely you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But then came to Penn State. And when I got to Penn State, I came for a communications degree, but I wanted to be more in radio and the business side of radio. I didn't really think I was going to continue the whole DJ thing. But when I got up here, just like the first week I was here, I went to a fraternity party, as a lot of freshmen do, and I met social chairs at these fraternities, and they're like, "Well, what do you do for entertainment?" I was asking them, and they're like, "Well, we usually have bands." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I DJ." And they're like, "Really?" And it's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, could you DJ here?" And I said, "Well, let me call my mom." And I called her and I said, "Hey, can you bring my equipment up
Yeah.
to my dorm?" I lived in a small half dorm, and it shared with another person.
That's
But
hilarious.
my roommate was all into it. He's like, "Oh my God, we're gonna have the sickest small dorm
Yeah.
in all of West Halls at Penn State," which is really tiny if anybody's ever lived there. So we brought all the equipment up. I didn't have a vehicle or anything, but I got really friendly with one kid in a fraternity, and he had this huge old van. And he's like, "Anytime you need it," he's like, "I'll help you get that equipment." So he would drive over, and we would get this equipment and put it in the van and go to some fraternity house. And then by sophomore year, I was pretty much booked every weekend at fraternities. And then the Collegian, I don't know if people know that's the Penn State newspaper, if it even still exists or not, but they wrote an article about me and what I was doing, and it kind of blew up. That was the old way of trending is, newspaper, and it blew up, and I actually got some calls from people that said, "Hey, I want to learn how to DJ." And so I brought them in and taught them how to DJ, and then it kind of grew from there. And then my roommates that I started living with said, "Hey, I want to do this. This looks like a lot of fun." So I just kept buying equipment from the money we were making, and adding new DJ systems, and kind of growing it from there. And then the time came when it was time to graduate from Penn State, and I didn't really have because I had spent so much time doing the DJing thing through school, I didn't really have like a focus of where I was going to go with it. And so it kind of took more into like, all right, well, maybe I'll just keep this mobile DJ thing going. And then I started Nittany Entertainment and tried to be a little bit more professional
Yeah.
from the, the bars and the fraternities, and started doing a lot more weddings. I had done my first wedding when I was 16. So like I had already had weddings under my belt, but really just to kind of turn it into like a more professional setting and a professional business, and more wedding focused. And so then ever since, that's kind of where that grew. And it started with just me doing the weddings, because my friends weren't really into the wedding thing. So I had to kind of to refocus in finding some people that would be more into weddings, and understand kind of, how important it is, and how professional you have to
Yeah.
be. And that's always kind of been our model and our brand is just really, being professional, and listening to what the couples want, and just making sure that their vision is seen.
Yeah, that journey, I mean, it's almost like at 15, you might not have known that you'd be here now, but like, were you always sort of business minded? Like, you were pulling in people like just off the like sort of hobby it might have been when you were DJing through college, but were you always kind of like business minded that way?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like when I was, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13, I started mowing lawns. I was the kid that was out during the blizzards, shoveling all the old neighbors'
Yeah.
driveways, and coming home with all this money, and uh, and even the fact, to start the DJ thing, this goes back a little bit, but I didn't have a lot of money to put into it. So my grandmother loaned me like a couple $1,000s, and I'm like, well, she's like, you're gonna pay me back with interest. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like I didn't really know what that was.
Yeah.
But so I played soccer in high school, and I was kind of the kid off the bench. Like I was okay, but I wasn't the best player. But I got into refereeing soccer, and I started refereeing more and more because they needed referees. So I was making a lot of money refereeing. So I actually paid my grandmother back in like a couple months from refereeing. So I was always kind of like looking
Yeah.
for that side job to kind of make money. Yeah. So I guess, yeah, always been kind of the entrepreneur thing.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it. And has that like team of DJs mentality always kind of been an idea that you had? Or is it something that like once you started doing your own weddings, you're like, oh, I could do more, I could grow the business, I could scale?
Yeah, I think that most DJs with their egos kind of come into it like, oh, no one else can do what I do. But James, you're out there. You see, there are some good DJs out there,
Yeah,
and there are some not so good DJs.
I
But yeah,
will attest to that as
yeah.
well.
But again, so I think when I started realizing that other people had talents as well, that I could kind of hone their talents in and bring them into my brand and my company. That's that we're always constantly looking for that. And I think that like that's really kind of where it evolved to, and I realized that, hey, like there are other guys out here that can do a really good job and understand the vision that I'm looking to do, and that's kind of where Nittany Entertainment evolved to.
Yeah. I mean, it works too. Just as a business owner, you can do more, and you're creating a space for other people to make money doing uh, probably something that they love.
Yeah,
And
and a lot of them, they'll have other jobs. So the DJ thing is a love for them, and some of them it's their favorite part of their job. Is it like they enjoy the DJing so much that they get to do it, but they don't do it every weekend.
yeah,
Like I'm invested, involved.
yeah,
Pretty much every weekend.
yeah. When you did that first wedding, how different was it from sort of what you were doing, kind of the house parties and some of that other DJing you were doing before?
Oh man, I gotta think back. So my first wedding ever. I mean, I was definitely really nervous. That there's a lot of preparation that went into it, but I think that nowadays there's even more preparation that goes into weddings because when I started, the internet was not as big a thing. So nowadays you're open to, getting lists from couples that might be 300, 400 songs. Back then, it would be something if they gave us maybe like 20 songs, you know? So there's a lot more involved in making sure that you have 2 to 300 songs versus 20 songs. So that, and also like just making sure you say the names correct and all that. And as a kid, just getting the respect of a crowd that is all going to be older than you. Where now, like I'm almost as old as the parents of these couples.
Yeah.
They give you the respect, but then they kind of look at you in another way, like, all right, this old guy's going to do my wedding.
Yeah.
But yeah, but once they see the party start, they're like, okay, this guy, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, you do, and I will attest that you are not one of the bad DJs. You're one of the good
All right, I like to hear that. Yeah. Probably wouldn't be here today, right?
Yeah, no. No, I have been at a couple of your weddings recently, actually. I don't know when this is going out, but recently to this filming. And I do appreciate when a DJ is not just playing the next song.
Yeah, so we had a wedding this past weekend where our company only had a photo booth at it, and Sarah, our photo booth attendant, sent me some video, and I'm not talking bad about this DJ. I'm not going to mention the name. I don't even know who it was actually. Apparently, her DJ was a family friend, and at the last minute he became ill, so they had to get this other guy come in, and she
Mm,
just sent me some video. He had the dot lights that were shining all over, which I know videographers and photographers aren't big fans of the
not
dot
a huge
lights.
fan. Not a
Yeah,
huge
because
fan.
on the white dress you have all these dots. It looks like
Yeah.
someone threw up on her dress, and then he was out there lip sync singing to the
Oh, good.
songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely felt like a wedding from the '90s, kind of,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So-
What would you say, like, to have a good DJ, like, what does it take from your end of it to put on a good party, to be professional, and even like some of that, like you're mixing songs, you're not just like fading in a new song. Like, what does all of that take?
Sure. First off, I think it's a lot of preparation. People think, okay, the DJ just kind of shows up that morning, rolls the equipment out, sets it up, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
Sure, in a perfect world, but that's not how it works. So, first off, like I mentioned earlier, the couples will kind of give you, the parameters of the music that they want or that they think they want, styles of music, a lot of the requests. And then we need to figure out how to make these songs work for the crowd that is given to us. Because if you have a lot of, newer music and your crowd is predominantly 50 and above, like, we got to figure out how to make these people dance to the music that you want. And so there's a lot of preparation that goes into just figuring out when a song's going to work and how you're going to play it and blend it. And like, to get into like the details of it, like, every song has what we call in the DJ business a BPM. So that is the speed of the song. It's called beats per minute. So every song has a speed, like a speed of like when you're driving. So you can't play a song that's 80 BPM and 120 BPM back to back, or you're going to have them going all over the place. So it is a kind of creating energy and building that energy up to a point of, like, peaks and valleys. So you bring the crowd up, and then you drop them down, and you bring them up, and, well, I bump the mic, and you drop them down. So there is you are kind of like, I've used the analogy of like flying a plane. Like, you got to kind of, level the plane off a little bit and keep it flying. You don't want to crash the plane, and by crashing the plane, essentially you're crashing the party. And there also too, like, people think, well, like, what's the biggest difference between like a Spotify and a DJ? And you can take a list of songs and kind of put it into Spotify and think this is going to be the way the songs are going to ebb and flow. But what a DJ is really doing is, as you kind of harped on a little bit, is we're taking the music, a good DJ, we're taking the music and we're blending it together and kind of mixing it seamlessly so that you don't even know you're into the next song. Because really, the idea of beat mixing is, you're dancing out there, 1, 2, you're back and forth dancing, and if you give the crowd the opportunity of like dead air or like a fade, that gives them the opportunity to be like, all right, I'm gonna go get a drink or I'm
Yeah.
gonna jump off the dance floor. But our goal is to keep it going, so like you're already into the next song and you're like, oh man, like I didn't even realize we're
And
on.
it's like, I love this song.
I
Like,
love this
oh
song.
yeah.
And sometimes like you want to just like tease them a little, like play a little bit of an older song and then mix into something else quick. And we are in the TikTok generation, and we're swiping, so like we got to keep you engaged.
Yeah.
And every year like the songs are getting shorter and shorter because the attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. So one of the keys is to keep people engaged and keep the energy level is to change up that song. So like once you hear that hook of a song, you got to be ready to go into something else.
I will say, I mean, we're definitely an outsider looking in, and I have no DJ knowledge at all. I have
Okay,
music knowledge, but I have
sure.
no DJ knowledge. But it is the worst when it's just like play a new song, like get to the
Yeah,
next thing.
yeah.
No, I mean it's fun because some of the songs have like the chorus that comes back around, and everyone knows the words to the chorus, so they all sing that part. But it's like, just get to a new song, like keep the flow going, like what you're saying. It seems like if you're finding a DJ that can uh, have that mindset, you're gonna have a potentially better, more fun party. But how do couples know? Like, this is probably one of those areas where it's like, do you show them like stuff from a past wedding? Like for us, they see our films, and it's like we want one of those.
It's really hard. That's always been the hardest challenge, is to show couples what makes DJ A different than DJ B. With like Mixcloud, SoundCloud, those type of things now, DJs are starting to put their mixes out there, so that helps a little bit. Where Nittany Entertainment gets a lot of our business from is from venue and vendor referrals.
Okay.
Just other, videographers, photographers, venues saying, "Oh, you need to have these guys because we've seen what they do with crowds, and we've
Yeah.
seen that they can keep a dance floor rocking for 3-4 hours solid, and that they can they're just easy to work with, and generally like good people, and fun and energetic. I mean, I think my biggest thing is just energy. Like you got to bring the energy, keep the energy up. It's early in the week when we're filming this,
Yeah.
after a weekend, and it's Mondays and Sundays can be hard, to as a person, to after pulling all, like you give everything for that wedding, and that those next couple of days can be hard to, you kind of crash a little bit and have
Yeah,
to
for
come back
sure.
from it. So I got to bring my energy level up a little bit
I
today.
know it is Mondays.
Yeah, when we're filming this, it's a
Yeah, it's
Monday,
Monday.
so we're
Um, yeah, no,
yeah.
I totally get that. Are there questions that couples should be asking DJs? Is your process like, do you have a meeting with couples? Like, are you on the phone? Are you in a video call? Like, are they able to kind of get some of that personality and stuff before they say like, yes, we want Eric or we want Nittany
Sure.
Entertainment?
Yeah. So we try to keep it like, so everyone in Nittany Entertainment besides me, we try to keep it consistently the same. Everybody is trained the same way. I don't let DJs go too rogue off of but yeah, like the process has changed a lot in the last 5 years or so, where everyone's busy. We get it. Work is busy, couples are busy. It's hard to kind of get on the same schedule. We're always open to a phone call, a Zoom, email, which email seems to be the number one way. But we also use an app now, called Vibo. And the app is really nice because they can all download it on their phones, and essentially they can connect it with their Spotify, their Apple
Oh,
Music,
cool.
and they can make their playlists right in there and then import them into sections like cocktail hour. Okay, like you guys want to make your own cocktail hour list? That's cool. Like just throw it into Apple Music, and import it right into the Vibo, and boom, it's done. And same with like must play songs, or do not play songs. Like they can essentially build whatever they want out, and then we'll discuss it in a final planning meeting, just to make sure that everything's on the same page. Like we did a wedding together about a month ago, and The couple had a lot of country songs that weren't necessarily like the best to dance to, but we figured out how to make it work. And so sometimes you have that discussion, and even with that bride, I said, hey, there's a lot of songs on here that might not be the most uppity dance songs, and she's like, that's okay. She's like, do your thing. If you can sneak in as many as you can, that's awesome. My dad will be happy, and I think we did, and they gave me a big hug at the end of the night, and everybody was
And that
really
was a
happy.
party.
That was a party, yeah.
That was a serious
It
party
was,
for
yeah.
sure.
And I was worried about that one because of the way the music was set up beforehand. I'm like, ooh, I don't know, it's gonna be tough, but
Yeah.
it worked out. So
Yeah. Would you say, like, what would you say to couples that are like overwhelmed with like what music do we pick?
keep it simple.
Okay.
Keep it simple. So here's the thing, like, a lot of times the groom is given the task of, hey, deal with the music because, like grooms don't want to deal with the flowers and the dresses
Yeah.
and all. Yeah, so they want to feel important. So a lot of times they're tasked with music. That's fine. If you're hiring a professional DJ, they know what crowds at weddings want to hear. So again, if you have 20 songs, that's great. That's a good starting point of say like, hey, these 20 artists or these 20 songs are good, but if you want to give us a list of 200 or 300, that's fine as well. Just know that we're probably not going to get to all those songs, so you can kind of star the ones that are important, but don't overdo it. The reason you hire a professional videographer, photographer, florist, is because they are experts in their field and they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So let them do their job. I use this analogy a lot too, of imagine an artist painting a painting. Okay. If you have a painting and you want this artist to make the coolest painting ever, let the artist have as much paint as they can. So if you start like limiting the paint colors and say like, hey, I want you to paint this awesome picture, but only use this paint color, and this paint color, well, then you're kind of tying their back a little bit, and the artist still might make a good picture for you, but it might not be as cool of a picture as they could have made if you just said, hey man, do your thing, you're the artist,
Yeah.
we'll let you do it. And that's not saying that, like, we get a lot of people that say like, all right, don't play the chicken dance. Okay, how many people want to hear the chicken dance at a wedding?
I
Like,
don't.
nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear the chicken dance, so don't worry about it. We're probably not going to play it. Now, I mean, if it's a wedding with 50 kids, okay, fine. Like, maybe we'll play the chicken dance because the kids will be happy.
Or like you were saying, even just a part of it.
Snippet of the chicken
Yeah.
dance, yeah. Or like, hey, we hate the cha-cha slide. Okay, so do I. Like, that's great, but like, you know what? Clap your hands. Like, that part works, and
Yeah.
and it might get grandma up to dance, and like maybe she was waiting for the cha-cha slide. So like, do we play it for her, and then we move quickly into something else? So like, I don't love those songs either, but I get it. And if you're in that zone where you're going to a lot of weddings and you're seeing like, okay, like this DJ is gonna play this and that, like, I get it. Like, but if you're hiring a good DJ that James is talking about, he knows some of them. They'll be able to still like play whatever and just make it work.
Yeah, well, I love the simplicity mindset because I think if I had to create a playlist right now, I would feel overwhelmed. Even though I go to a ton of weddings, I would still be like, but I don't know about that song. What about this song? But it sounds like what you're saying is like, if you are overwhelmed, maybe 20 songs, 20 of your favorite songs that you would love to just like be on the dance floor screaming at the top of your lungs with all of your favorite people, and then just leave the rest. Because honestly, I love when couples are like, no, we trust you, just do your thing. Because then I'm like, cool. Because if I can have the room to do that, I think creatively, and you're in a creative business too, in a way. I know like some of it's like formalities where you have to like announce people, but like that mixing side of it is totally a creative business. I would imagine when people are like, hey, we trust you, like just do your thing. But how do you get to the point where couples are like, we trust you? Like, where's that trust built, or like how is it built?
It's hard because being a multi-op business, they don't understand what a DJ can do on the mixing side. So like, we're talking about mixing, and a lot of people probably like, what is that? So even Spotify now is starting to mix, I guess. So essentially what the mixing is like, we talked about the BPM a little bit, is where you're taking one song and you're mixing it into the other, and you have to make it feel seamless and sound good when it mixes. It's not just like fading a song out into the other. There's a whole process behind that. That would be a whole nother podcast. You can Google what like DJ mixing is.
Yeah.
Mashups, they might know what that means a little bit more, but
Maybe dropping vocals, maybe like a beat
yeah.
comes in, or like it's a very, very seamless transition as opposed to like fade out one song, fade in new song.
Right. I forgot what the question was, but yeah, like if
The trust. How are they building
how are they building?
trust?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I think I build trust a lot at weddings just by, from the intros being professional. Like I introduce myself to the wedding party, let them know my name, go through the, how we're going to do the intros, and right there, I've already built some trust with them. And then just I think I really build the trust with my crowds on the dance floor by the first couple songs. If I do like a really cool mix, all of a sudden people are like, oh man, like that
Yeah.
was cool, or you get the high fives, and so you kind of just build the trust throughout the reception. It would be better to have the trust through the process with the couples that when they ask questions about timeline and like what is the best way to get through the timeline. I think I start to build a trust factor with them because they're like, oh, this guy, this company, they understand how a wedding's going to flow, and like what is they answered my questions before I even had the questions.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're seeing that you have the experience from the way that you're walking through that process with them. Are there any like go-to, like if you see the crowds kind of like dim a little bit and they're kind of like I'm not sure about this, like a go-to song that like just always seems to work to get everyone going again?
Yeah, I mean, there's always some of those. Like, I mean, like a party in the USA. Anything with the hands up. It kind of depends on the crowd. If it's an older crowd, like something a little older would work. Like I want to dance with somebody or something along those lines. I know Bruno Mars gets a bad rap right now. Like a lot of people are like we don't want to hear Bruno Mars at our wedding, so that's fine. But like there are like a shut up and dance, or there are some like secret songs at certain times of the night that can really get the crowd going.
Yeah.
Penn State crowds obviously like a Zombie Nation, or
Yeah.
a Shout. Yeah, so it really depends on the crowd and the people. But looking at a crowd a lot of times, like a good DJ can kind of figure out, all right, this is what's going to work. If you're a video gamer, you like to have those like secret weapons in your back pocket, or there's always a song that's kind of in the queue that like if you need it, like you can drop it, and the crowd's like, oh my god, like this is it.
Yeah. I feel like you almost have to have it just in case. I mean, like obviously the ideal would be for the party just to flow. But if you need that like song to drop just to get kind of everyone, how do you get everyone like on the dance floor at first? Because I in some ways, and maybe this is a good thing or a bad thing, but the party does kind of ride on the vibes that you guys are putting out in
Sure.
some way.
Yeah, I mean, so not every crowd is a 10. We always ask the couples in our Vibo app, like, rate your crowd from a 1 to 10. And sometimes they'll give us 10, sometimes they give us 5. And we're like, okay. Sometimes the 5s become the 10s,
Yeah.
so it really, and the 10s, well, we like
Or
to keep the
5.
10s. We like to keep them up, but,
Yeah.
you just never know with the crowd. Like the older crowd sometimes, may not have the same energy as like the 20-year-old 30-year-old crowd.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it definitely varies on that. There, like, honestly, I think it's just like you hit them hard right away, and you say, hey, let's do it. And I'm gonna give you a cheat code here. This is a cheat code to having a successful wedding reception. I don't care who your DJ is. If the bride is on the dance floor, you're gonna have a good wedding.
Yeah.
So I know some brides are introverts and they don't like to be out there in front of people, but again, it's the one day that you have to be. So get out there on the dance floor, go out there, have a good time, be the center of the dance floor, and you're going to have that energy level, and you're
Yeah.
going to have a good party. So like I don't care if it's, DJ X or whoever, but you have to be out there as the bride. Now the groom as well, it's good to be out there. You're not as important as the bride, but it's good to have you out there as well.
I will say I love when they're both out there
Yeah.
just having the time of their life.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, and we get it that like you're getting pulled 10 different ways.
Yeah.
Like you're essentially the star of the day. Like you're the paparazzi, like is following you around, all these cameras taking your picture, and everybody wants to congratulate you and thank you. Yes, we get it, but and sometimes you need a moment to like hide or whatever. That's fine, but be on that dance floor for the time, and you will have a good wedding.
Yeah, I love when they're out there. It's so fun. How do you handle situations where guests are coming up and saying like, "Hey, can you play XYZ song?" And it's like maybe it's on the do not playlist,
Yeah,
or maybe it's like, it's just not gonna fit the vibe because you're reading the room probably from start to finish, and they're just coming up with like some random song that they just love
sure.
jamming out to in their car or something.
I love it when I get, "Hey, the bride wants to hear this." Like, we get that a lot. I'm like, "Really? The bride wants to hear that? Like, why is it on her do not playlist?" Like, they love to use that,
Yeah.
"Hey, the bride wants to hear this." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So this is the difference between, Spotify and a DJ. So if you ever been to a party and someone's running the Spotify and like nine people are like, "Oh, this is a great song," but then the 10th person's like, "Change it, I don't like this." So really, like, what the DJ is the deflector and the filter. So we're filtering the requests from that day, and we're deflecting the ones that are not good, and just kind of working with that. Again, if somebody comes up with a request and it's a good request, I'll try and get it in as long as it fits with what the bride and groom want. If somebody comes up with a request and it's a terrible request, I'll try and not get it in, but I'm not going to tell them that. I'm going to be like, "Hey, that's a great request. Let me see if I can get that in." And if they come back and they keep bugging me about it, I'll be like, "Look, I'm sorry. Like, that song's just not probably gonna work for this wedding."
Yeah.
But again, if it's an artist or if it's something that's important to the bride and groom, hopefully we would have learned that in
Yeah,
the
you
when they
maybe know
did their
that
planning.
before. Yeah.
And that's why, I tell them that when we do the planning is like, "Hey, if there is a song that, like, hey, this is like all my girls, like, this was our song that we like got really excited for in our pre-gaming at, our bachelorette party, and like that's why we like this song." Okay. And then, you know what? I'm going to play that song when all your girls are on the dance floor, and I'm going to dedicate it to them because we know that that's an important song for them. And then they're bringing that energy for that song. So even if it's a song that I didn't think was going to go good, they knew it would for that time. And you play it when those people are on the floor. And same with, like, if like a father of a bride or something comes up and says, "Hey, I really want to hear this song," I'm going to make sure to play it when he is on the floor, and I'm going to say, "Hey, this is for, the father of the bride or the father of the groom," and so that they know, like, okay, this is why this song's important.
Yeah.
And then he's out there having a good time and everyone's dancing around him, and then that still keeps that energy
And
level up.
again, you're not playing a song that's 5 minutes long for 5 minutes.
Probably not. I mean, unless it's a song like a Bohemian Rhapsody or something, like, where
Yeah.
everyone sings
Yeah,
along
do
to
the
the.
whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most
For
part,
the most part, yeah.
yeah. How important would you say like the ceremony music selections would be? Obviously, there's some more generic stuff you might play while people are getting seated, but the couple songs that the couple might select for like walking down the aisle to, like how important do you think those are?
As important as they want it to be.
Yeah.
So again, we let the couples tell us what they want. If they don't know, obviously, they can, refer to us, and we'll try to give them some suggestions. And in our app, we give them some suggestions as well. So, again, it's really about them kind of, having the songs that they want to hear for that.
Yeah,
So.
so some couples are like, "Hey, we have a complete idea. We know exactly what song." Some are like, just tell us what to do."
Yeah. And I think, like, Google is your friend. There's ChatGPT now is your friend. Like, you can ask, well, "Hey, what are some songs that people are playing?" For the majority of, like, pre-ceremony, couples are saying, "Hey, we want instrumentals of, popular songs." So, like, Vitamin String Quartet, Brooklyn Duo, like, a lot of those bands have, like, string quartets of, like, popular songs.
Yeah.
And if they hire a string quartet group, is like a real string quartet, that's what they're probably playing. It's not as, like, churchy music anymore, like, like the Canon and D's
Yeah,
and
I was
stuff like
gonna
that.
say.
It's more of, like, Love Story by Taylor Swift on strings, or
Yeah.
and again, brides do have these visions of how they're going to walk down the aisle. They want it to kind of feel like it's, like a Hollywood movie, and they
Yeah.
want that feel and that vibe, and that's awesome. So if they have a song that they want it for that, cool. If they need some help, we'll definitely kind of nudge them in a direction.
Yeah. So you are, as a DJ, you're like the leader of the pack when it comes to reception time. And I will say, when we get to that time, I'm like, "Hey, yo, what's up? What's going on?" How do you keep the vendor side of things, like photographers, videographers, even some venue owners that are listening in? How do you keep that whole thing just moving and grooving, everyone's on the same page. What's that look like for you?
Yeah, I think yeah, that's always a challenge, but again, it can be a good challenge. Introduce yourself to the vendors when you get there. If you haven't worked with them before, if you've worked with them before, usually it's a little easier because you
Yeah,
you
it's
know them. Uh,
hey.
yeah, right. Like sometimes there's a vendor that might be a little bit more demanding, like they want it to kind of be on their terms. And if that happens, that's cool. Like we'll let them kind of take the reign. If nobody is saying like, hey, like who's running this timeline, then it does kind of fall on the DJ, unless they have like a day of wedding planner or somebody
Right.
that kind of runs that. But even at that point, the wedding planner says, hey, once we get to the after dinner, like you just
Yeah, just
kind
do
of
your
do it.
thing. Yeah.
And again, that's the goal. Like again, as the DJ, we want to maximize the amount of time that you can party. So like,
Yeah.
well, let's get through the dances. Let's get through whatever. If we're cutting cakes or we're throwing bouquets or we're doing toast, blessing, anything like that, let's get through those and let's get you to the party. Because
Yeah.
again, the more time that you have to party, I think the more time people are going to have a good time and remember it.
So when couples are planning the time between, I mean, maybe even some of cocktail hour until open dance floor, there's entrances, there's maybe parent dances, there's probably a first dance, there's probably some speeches, maybe a, a blessing of some sort. Where's your guidance on like what do we do when to make all of that flow? Are you like a put it all up front? Are you like put dinner in between?
So, like I tell couples, there's no rule. There's really no rule to this. It's whatever you want to do is fine. If you've seen something at a wedding you've been at recently and you want to do the same, let's do it. If you aren't sure, then defer to us. I like to front end load that stuff because again, it gets it out like kind of out of the way for you so that you can sit back and relax and enjoy. And also too, if you like to drink, like as the night goes on, like the more drinks you have in you, like you don't want to be like, man, I still haven't done my dance or like I got to
Yeah.
do a speech and or so let's get that stuff kind of done and out of the way as long as it doesn't um affect the like the dinner time and other vendors or like if like sunset photos or something like that like and I think that's the real key to any vendor that you're working with is hopefully they're a team player. Like we like if I have a photographer or videographer that says, hey, we really got to get that sunset shot at this time, like all right, cool, like let's see what we can do on this timeline to make it work for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not coming to a wedding day expecting like to be a team, then you're gonna have a bad time. And
Yeah,
everyone else is gonna have a bad time too.
and I've heard some horror stories about different vendors, whether it's a DJ or a photographer, venue, whatever, just in general, of just kind of being kind of, no, it's my way or the highway. And like, that's not the way to like,
Yeah.
to gain.
Serve the couples
Yeah,
either.
exactly. Like, yeah.
So in your job, like specifically the DJ side of things, there's obviously like an MC side of things, and then there's like the mixing side. Um, are you often going just kind of by yourself and doing MCing and the mixing?
Yeah, so the emceeing thing, so there's kind of a trend with weddings is that they're becoming less and less formal. They're doing less and less of the formal things. And one of my favorite things, which I know this might come up later, but one of my favorite things is the informal intro now. I love it because you have the bridesmaids come in
Yeah, it's the best thing to
and you
happen.
have the groomsmen come in and if you have bridesmen and instead of bridesmaids like let them feel comfortable and included with that group. And also if you have a like maybe you have like 9 girls and like 6 guys or whatever, that now they don't feel awkward coming in with people they don't know. And it's a lot of fun, and that's a trend that I really like.
And it also takes like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
You're like, here's all the girls, here's all the guys, and here's the couple.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And but it still has the energy level. Like
Yeah,
people are
for
having
sure.
fun with it. But yeah, I mean, so all of our DJs also have to be trained on a microphone and can talk, and be MCs. Which I think it's important to be commanding and kind of let the crowd know, like, hey guys, sit down. We're gonna do this, or
Yeah.
like get away from the bar for a minute. We're doing this, or we want to devote your attention to the dance floor so you can see that our bride and groom are doing something important, and so they understand that. But at the same time, I also simple, like less is more. Once if we don't need to be on the microphone, I don't think you should be on the microphone. And I
Yeah.
don't think that's what couples want anymore. Like they don't want somebody, tell, hey, this song came out in 2016 and this was
Dude,
the first hit of.
I wasn't working it, but I was at a wedding and the dude literally announced every song like he was on the radio
Yeah.
and played the full song. I was like, "Bro, you're killing me. You're
Right. That's a
killing me."
different kind of DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it kind of points to what you're saying, like the trend has kind of shifted. Have you seen other trends that have kind of shifted over your time of wedding DJing, like that used to be a thing, aren't a thing, or have like some new
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, I mean, trends change all the time, and I think that's the key to success in this business. If you're another vendor watching, is you have to be able to adapt to the times. Things are changing all the time, really just the informality of the wedding. There barely anybody does like a bouquet garter toss anymore. We're seeing a trend this season where a lot of brides are doing, they're dedicating the bouquet to to their mom or something like that, which is totally fine. But again, it should be something quick and simple. She says a couple words, she cries a little bit, and we move
Yeah.
on. But yeah, just a lot of the formalities. The couples don't want to like they don't want to be like, oh, like I have to, why do I have to throw cake at my bride? Like nobody does that anymore. I mean, and in fact, a lot of people don't even like do a formal cake cutting. Like they'll
I
just go off
know.
to the side with
Yeah.
the photographer, which is totally fine. Like again, like
It
let's
honestly works
get
better
to the
for
party.
us because it's
Yeah.
like there's not a huge crowd and we can just kind of like have they can have that moment and it can be a special thing, but then it's like you said, back to the party. Um, ha- has how has like technology shifted what you
Oh wow.
do?
Yeah, I mean, in every business right now, AI is the big thing, right? But just in the last couple years, there's this thing that came out for DJing called stems, and so like I can separate any song into four parts. I can do the lyrics, I can do the melody, I can do the bass, and I can do the drums. And I can take any one of those and so I can just do the drum part of a song, just the acapella song, which is the easiest part to understand, and then you really get some creative mashups
Yeah, that's
with
awesome.
that. And Yeah, so it's definitely changed the game creatively, but it's also there are some DJs that are not doing it well. Like you have to understand like music structure a little bit. Like so, if you're a music person out there, keys are very important to songs. Certain keys work with other songs and certain keys don't. And if you try to put the two together, it can be like, oh, like what is he doing? So even like even if it's on mix, like the beat's on, but like you're off on the key, like that can be a bit of a challenge too. So the AI thing for that, like there are AI tools that will actually show us like if you play this song, here are 20 other songs that kind of work for that
Oh,
song.
nice.
So that's been a nice little tool. I haven't used it that much because I still think my brain knows what the
It just
other
goes, yeah,
songs
yeah.
that kind of are similar to that song. But if you are in a pinch at an event, especially if you're doing an event for like an older crowd or something, and you're like, I don't really know what they're gonna like, and that can help for like 70s music or something that you're
Yeah.
not as familiar with the genre. Having that tool to kind of tell you like, oh, here's like what 20 other songs would work.
Yeah. Before you started all of the DJ stuff, like, would you have considered yourself like an audiophile? Like, you loved music, like, you were super interested in music before even doing the DJ stuff?
Yeah, I think I always was. I didn't have any music training. Like I went to Catholic school and they didn't really have a whole lot of like options that like my kids have in the public schools where both my daughters are like really into music and like they have so many options nowadays
Yeah.
that they didn't have that back when I went to school. So I'm all self-trained, but yeah, I was always into music. I always like listening to the radio and like listening to my favorite songs and just kind of going from there.
Yeah. I feel like there's probably someone out there listening that's like, this sounds like a lot of fun. How do I even like what do I do? How do I
Yeah.
get started?
It's so like I look for a lot of talent and train people to come into our company, and the one thing I'm actually finding is younger people aren't looking to become DJs. And I think it might be because not as many at least. I think there's a couple reasons. Number one is like as a DJ, we're mostly playing, MP3s, wave files, like actual audio files that you have to amass and get. Nowadays, nobody is buying music, like they're streaming.
Yeah.
So like they don't look at it the same way, and they think, well, why would I want to be a DJ? Like this AI tool will do it for me, like whether it's Spotify or Apple Music or whatever they're using. So like why would I want to do that? And like like a lot of the big DJ names that have been out there over the last 20 years or so are getting older too, and you don't see like an up and coming superstar DJ that people want to like kind of emulate and be. So yeah, so if you're out there and you want to DJ and you live in the State College area, contact me. I'd be more than happy to teach you. And there are still plenty of tutorials out there like YouTube and that you can learn how to do it. But yeah, like it's definitely becoming a challenge to find new talent that wants to do it.
Yeah. I feel like it could seem a little overwhelming at first because there's a lot of moving pieces. There's probably a lot of gear that if you're not in it, you don't know like what speaker is good or what do I need to actually do the stuff that you're doing with all the mixing and the stems that you're talking about. But it seems like there's a lot of information out there, or people can reach out to you and they can start that conversation with you. Do you feel like there's like and I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to get AI to take over your job, but do you feel like there's more people that are thinking, like you said, there are more people that are thinking like, AI is just gonna do it and I don't know,
Yeah. So
somehow do it better or different.
I
I don't
mean,
know.
you never know. Like AI is coming for everybody. Like
Yeah,
it's
for
coming.
sure.
But if I was gonna build a house and I had a hammer or a nail gun, like which one is going to build the house better? Like, I mean, the hammer obviously it would take forever, right?
Yeah.
If I had a nail gun, I could frame that house pretty quick. So again, I think it's really being adaptable to these tools and figuring out how to use these tools to make it better for the couples, make it better for you. And I really think like that's the trick with the AI is just staying on top of it, learning the prompts and knowing what you can do. So the nice thing about the AI for us is if I get a list of 300 songs from a couple, I can put it into some of my AI apps and it'll actually go through and it'll read my hard drive and it'll find the song. So it saves me a ton of time.
Oh, nice.
Now I still have to manually go in and say like, oh, I don't want this version. I want to use this version. But there's a lot of prep work that's done in there. But again, it makes things a little bit easier. So using the tools that are out there, to embrace it and make it work for you, I think is the most important.
Yeah, I mean you can't ignore it
You can't.
because you're gonna get
No, I've been around long enough that I like there were some great photographers back in the day and they're like, "Ah, I'm a film person. Like I'm always going to do film." And like 2 years later I'm like, "What happened to them? They're gone."
yeah,
Because they didn't embrace the technology. They didn't learn that digital was going to take over
yeah.
and just it you have to understand what the technology is and figure out how to make it work for you.
Yeah, so Nittany Entertainment, like I said at the beginning of the show, is a lot more than just a group of wedding DJs. Can you tell me more about all of those different things that you're offering for couples still?
Sure. Yep. So we pioneered the photo booth business in State College as well. So we're the longest running photo booth company in State College. We actually do photo booths for Penn State football outside the
Oh,
stadium
nice.
every game. We're doing this year a trading card experience, so they actually get a green screen picture of themselves inside the stadium, and they can input information in like their name, their position, their
Oh,
favorite
cool.
number.
Yeah,
6 7 is very popular right now, kids.
yeah, I know.
I know, right? So anyway, so they can put their that information in. They get a little trading card of themselves, like on the field, and so that's been really popular. We have the 360 video. Regular photo booths are very popular. We do a lot of lighting jobs, so up lighting and so like decor lighting for some large events at Penn State and also for weddings. So if you have a venue that like you want to like change the mood a little bit, we can do lighting and change the color and control it with a computer, and so that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I do have a sister company. James and I talked about it a little bit off the podcast, but it's called Classic Cones. It is an ice cream truck. It's a 1961 vintage ice cream truck. It was kind of my COVID pivot when everybody was hiding at home. Like we took this ice cream truck out and took it all around town, and and now it's very popular for weddings. The trick with that is we try to keep it within like a 30-minute drive of State College because it is an old truck and it doesn't do really well with long distance. But
Yeah.
somebody just asked yesterday, like, can you bring it to Baltimore for a wedding? I was like,
You gotta put that thing on a trailer.
I'm like, yeah. I said essentially we probably would have to put it on a trailer down. I was like, yeah, if you pay the right price, like anything is possible.
Oh yeah,
But,
yeah, of course.
so.
Yeah, so you're doing a ton more than just DJ. And then how many DJs do you have working for you?
Yeah, so there can be anywhere from like 8 to 10. There's some guys that are kind of semi-retired, but they'll come out of retirement for the right wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place with that.
Yeah, I mean, you've built like what seems like a. It's funny. I'm gonna say a big business because like when I think of like a wedding vendor, I think more of like the weekend warrior and like start super super small and like you've really scaled it to something way bigger than just like you going out and doing all of the weddings yourself with the team, the ice cream truck, which get it on a trailer and get it to your wedding because it's really
Yep.
cool, and all the photo booth stuff.
And we try to keep it so that there's always a couple people that aren't working that weekend. So, if there was a catastrophic emergency, there is somebody backed up and ready to
Gotcha.
go. And so that's one of the, the important things of having a big company like that is you can't, spread yourself too thin. Like you always have to keep that in mind that like you have to have something backed up just in case.
Yeah, and are the couples meeting the DJ that they get from Nittany Entertainment before, or are they just kind of talking with you?
Yeah, it just depends on when they can meet and who they want if they want to meet with the DJ. We try to set them up with a meeting with the DJ. Sometimes the schedules don't always align, but then if I meet with them and give them the timeline and go through everything, I always have a meeting with that DJ as well. And then if they still have any questions for that DJ, they can obviously do another meeting with them.
Yeah, so ideally we would get them on the call, but I know I literally have meetings like for a wedding this weekend, and it's just she was like, I'm sorry, like it's so hectic, and it's like the last couple weeks or month can just be like so hectic for couples
Yeah,
trying to
just
get all
trying to get
those.
everybody's schedules to
Yeah,
align. Work is always busy for people. We don't all work 9 to 5s anymore, and
yeah,
they have to kind of work. They usually want to have the bride and the groom on the call, but again, if it doesn't work out, we always at least try to assure them that everything's going to go smooth.
yeah. Well, Eric, it's been so great having you on. Your years of experience DJing and all the other stuff that you have going on with Nittany Entertainment is so fun. Where can people find and follow along with the things that you're doing?
Yeah, so you can find us on our socials, Nittany Entertainment on Facebook, Nittany_Entertainment on Instagram. There's a Mixcloud out there if you want to hear some of our mixes. Nittany Entertainment, look for that as well. So yeah, we're all over the place. I'm trying to do better on the socials. I think that's probably one of our weakest parts. We get most of our referrals from other vendors, but we're trying to up our social game a little bit so you can see what happens. And usually on the weekends, we'll post our stories just so you can kind of see what's actually happening live at the weddings.
Yeah, that's so fun. Is there anything like coming up, projects or something you're excited about?
I mean, there's always stuff going on. We're still in heavy wedding season. Weddings are still, the top priority here. We do a lot of stuff with Penn State football. You can find us outside the stadium for all the home games. So we're usually out there doing something. And during the holidays, we do a light show in downtown State College. So we sing to music and lights. Runs from the week before Thanksgiving through New Year's Day. So that's a fun little project that we do as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on,
thanks for having me.
everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you are liking episodes like this with Eric and Nittany Entertainment, there's going to be more coming. So make sure you guys are subscribed and tuning in to future episodes. And that's all for this episode of The Preferred List.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.